Alright, hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of What's This Wednesday, but it's a special edition that I'm calling What's This in the Box? Because, as you can see today, we have wonderful live action footage instead of video game gameplay. So look, there's my hand, it's giving a thumbs up, it's weird, it's gross, it's been doing yard work all day. Wonderful. So today I wanted to showcase off a game that I got, over a year ago now, I think it was about over a year ago now, when it first released, called Mechs Vs Minions. It's the League of Legends board game, based off of League of Legends anyway. So in this game, in this series, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to teach you how to play the game or review the game itself, but mainly I just want to show off what's in the box, which is why this is called What's This in the Box. So this definitely will have me going through all of the pieces in the box, and since this game does have sort of a storyline kind of thing, you know what to expect. I'll be going through everything, so if you don't want to see something, you know what to do. So, first off, we've got the nice, beautiful box here that we can see in the front. It's got little embossed stuff on the top, but one thing I wanted to show you was the back of the box. Now, I had cut here quickly just to flip the box over and take the contents out so you could easily see this without me ruining everything inside. So this box is actually a very special box, because as you can see right down here in the bottom right, it is numbered. It is a numbered copy, number 9,196 out of 30,000. Now, this is one of the original run numbered copies of the game. They only made 30,000 with these numbers, and I was lucky enough to get a collector's edition copy of it. I don't think there's anything else different other than the fact that it has a number on the bottom of the box. Other than that, it's got all your standard awesome artwork on the back, like your teaser artwork of the 4 characters you can play. It's got your components, your components up here in the top right, how to play up there, cooperative game for 2 to 4 players, I should say. I suppose you could do it with 1 person, but that'd be no fun. This whole game is based around cooperative play. It wouldn't be any fun. You've also got your congratulations note from Rumble himself from the League of Legends world. And so now I'm going to flip the box back over, and we're going to open this thing to see what's inside. And look at that, through the magic of editing, we have the front of the box again, and I am just going to, ever so gently, try and not bump the camera. Oh geez, this is going to be difficult. I have never done a video like this before, so please be patient. And there we go. Just going to make sure the camera's focused up on in that. When you first open this box, there's a lot to take in here. I mean, you can see there's a bunch of smaller figures, some like copper coins, some painted figures over on the top, this big box here, which we'll get to later. That's one of the last things we have to touch. But it can be overwhelming, but it's also very nice because most of the trays in here have these vac tray tops, so all of the components won't fly around. At least the more important components won't fly around. And of course, one of the first things we're going to be taking a look at here are the 4 unique playable characters in Mechs vs Minions. They happen to be from the League of Legends franchise, and no, Rumble isn't part of the crew, unfortunately. But we have here Tristana, Ziggs, Heimerdinger, and Corki. And bam, the lid is off, and I'm going to pick up one of the figures here and bring it closer to the camera so we can get a focus on just how detailed these figures are. Can I get the camera? Thank you, camera. Wonderful. So you can take a look at these awesomely painted small figures. The lighting, unfortunately, isn't amazing here for me to be displaying all of these off in their glory. I'm going to try and correct this as best as I can, but just look at this wonderful, wonderful little figure. I mean, even the expression on the face, can I get maybe a less glare here on the face? Can maybe get an angle? There we go. Look at that. Look at that up in the top there. It's wonderful. The colors are a little muted because the lights I'm using, but that's fine. We're going to also grab Ziggs because this has got a little bit of harsher reds to it so you can see. Look at that bomb. It's got the scratches. It's got the paint marks. Just a wonderfully made little player figure. Unfortunately, all the figures aren't painted. A lot of them are just gray plastic. So you're not going to get that quality on every single piece you are. But for some of these player characters, let's see if I can't get the glare off of his face there. There we go. Look at that. Those green goggles up top. That smile, that tongue, that classic Ziggs craziness that you're used to. And we also have the third playable character here, Heimerdinger. Great. He's just a tiny little yordle in his little scientist's lab coat. And he's actually got a mech. He's the only one who actually has a mech. All the others kind of have a makeshift mech because he's the only one smart enough to make one. The only exception to this is the next character, which will be Corki. Corki, he actually has his same... Well, it's a modified version of his plane that he uses in League of Legends, but he has a modified version. And it's got like a little mace arm here, you can see, with little pointy nubs and some rocket packs on the back. And it's got legs, they gave it legs, but it's supposed to be a plane, but the front end is still the same as his plane from League of Legends. And he's still that high-flying, barren-looking Yordle as he once was, and will always be. So the next thing you'll notice after removing the characters from the box is you have this next big tray here with another one of these vac seal lids. So I'm just going to go ahead and remove that and set that to the side. Make sure to keep that intact. And you'll have a specific set of D6s and D12s. So let's see if we can't get the camera to focus in on here on these beautiful little dice. There we are. Look at that. So we've got these rune dice, which will determine what kind of rune you will roll when you'll need to roll it. You also have your same sort of swirly aesthetic, kind of glittery D6s as well. I don't think with the lighting I have here we'll be able to show off the glitter. Let's see if I can't get a little bit of that glitter to show here. Oh yeah, there we go. We can see a little bit of the glitter sparkle in that. A little bit of that glitter sparkle. You'll also end up having these rune tokens, which, just if you notice the rune dice, have these tokens, the same faces and the same runes on them as well. They correspond later on. They also have an active side and an inactive side. You'll also have these awesome tracker markers in the shape of cogs to match the Mechs vs Minions theme. And before we get to the minions, the last thing we need to take a look at are these power crystals. They kind of look a little bit like Chaos Emeralds without the pointy diamond bottom. From the top, they look a bit like Chaos Emeralds, but they actually have little indents. If you can see there, if I'm working the camera properly, they have little indents because you can place minions on top of them, and then you can move that around the board because the minions will carry these sometimes. Or at least they'll occupy the same space, and therefore, you know, you can have them on the same space without having to waste precious real estate on the board. And as far as my knowledge goes, there are only 4 separate types out of the 100 minion figures you get. So there are 4 different unique types of minions that you get. So there's probably 25 of each. Come on, camera, please. Can we get a focus in on that? Wonderful. Beautiful. Look at the detail on this small figure. This is the, like, ready for battle, axe out standard minion. Right? Just wonderful little details on here. The little runic markings on the platforms you stand on. The little hair, the little tufts on the helmet there at the top. Little armor clinks. I want to say clasps at the back, not clinks. Clink is a prison. We also have the little bit of the rope sachet, the rope belt there, and the little cracked shield a little bit there, and a little dinged shield. Standard minions for your League of Legends play. And the wonderful thing is, I will show you afterwards, but I'll tell you right now, that each of the slots in the game board will hold any minion. They're all contoured and leveled in a way that no matter which minion you put in which position, a minion will fit no matter where you place it back inside the box, which is wonderful because if they had like 25 specific areas for this specific like axe raised above head minion, that would get so very difficult to manage after a while. So we have this wonderful little minion, same aesthetic, same style, same colors, same amount of detail, but this one has its axe raised above its head. We then also have one of my favorite minions, the Coward minion, the shield minion. Let's see if we can't get the camera to focus back up on that. Thank you. And you see all the small little details and such there. All this wonderful little shading. Everything. This is my favorite minion because he's kind of like, I don't want to fight. They didn't give me a weapon. And so he's just got a lot of little personality in this little tiny bit. Even his eyebrows are kind of shaped like he doesn't want to be here, which would make sense. Him and his other minions are being absolutely destroyed. So here we are for the last and final minion. The axe raised above the head, fully offensive. I've got no shield, so I'm going to take you out, minion. Another favorite of mine, because he's brimming with confidence that he will absolutely take out every single mech on the field. Unfortunately, he only has 1 HP, as do all minions. All minions here have 1 HP. Wonderful, wonderful detailing on these small little figures. So I'm going to raise up the tray here to show you just exactly how it works. So as you can see, we have different types of minions here in the different slots, but all the slots are exactly the same to fit all of the minions. So that's what I was talking about earlier, how it doesn't matter where you place the minion. Let's see if I can't swap these two around. So we've got this one here. We'll move him out. We'll move this one up here. Swap it out like that. Swap it back like that. And there you go. No matter where you want to put a minion, they'll fit. And just to show you exactly how many minions are in this box, this is a whole entire tray of nothing but minions. And after you get through the first 2 initial trays, you'll see you now have top secret dossiers. Now, I won't be opening these, but I will just go through them, show you some of the titles of the missions you'll be going through, and you can see there's even more room down here for more minions. Now, these are the ones that kind of bounce around the box a little bit, but from what I can tell, they usually stay relatively in place because of the way the box has been designed, so you don't have to worry too much. I know that matters to a lot of people, and so that's a nice little touch they added in with how they fixed the box together. So here we go. Here is one of the top secret folders called Operation Tempest's Heart. We also have top secret Get Wrecked. We even have missions like Operation Bandle City Beatdown. Or if you've been playing through the game like I have and my friends, you'll have them usually marked or flipped in certain directions so you can tell which missions you've done or which missions are coming up. So here is Operation Magical Banana. I think that's the mission we are currently working on. So that's why it's opened in the back here. Unfortunately, you do have to rip these if you want to play the game. You can't play the game without ripping these. So if you're a person who doesn't want to do that, you're probably not going to have a good time with this game. These are also some of the other inserts that came with the game. You have your League of Legends thank you card for purchasing the game. This was also to promote one of their League World Cups at the time. And you also have a quick reference sheet for Rumble's Pro Tips How to Play. If you'd like to read these in detail, I'll slowly scroll this up so you can read these. I'll actually zoom in a little bit here, so hopefully we can get some camera glare off the words so you can read them. So yeah, if you'd like to pause the video and read the rules, you can do that right now. And then, of course, I love the special dangerousness phase down at the bottom, which doesn't come into play too many times. Also on the back, there is a quick reference sheet for all of the different types of cards. Turn cards, move cards, attack cards, and there's one of each color, or there's one of each for each color. So if you're trying to build a specific build around a certain color, you can definitely do that. We also have the Master Mechanic, a field guide and textbook. Now this is your rule book. Right? I'm not going to go through this entire thing, but I'll just show you a couple quick references. Right over here you have your rune shields, which are the runes that'll come into play with the rune tokens and the rune dice. You've also got stuff detailing your doom tracker, which will come up in a bit. You know, your phases to remind you. Pretty much anything you need to know is in this book. And the last 2 things in this kind of big sheet of paper are the attention slips for the congratulations slip with your invitation to be part of the mech school. And what I find funny is on the back of this, he has his to-do list, which is start a school, invite students, he loves Tristana, doesn't like Heimerdummy, Ziggsmeister has a star, Teemo is battling the void, Kennen, ninjas are hard to find, and Corky? Okay. So there's at least a little bit of theme there with how they chose the characters for the game. I kind of wish Teemo was here, because Teemo was my favorite Yordle to play in the game. And then there was learn how to run a school and why is the power source ticking. So he hadn't figured those out yet. That's kind of the point of the game, is you start out right just before you get to those parts. And then, of course, every game needs a Master Mechanic tutorial. So this is just the tutorial mission to teach you how to play. You've got all your different steps of combat here. You know, everything wonderful. Everything just wonderful. A little bit of, tidbits about little rules and stuff. So it's got a little FAQ in the back, and each, I'm going to spoil it a little bit here for you. Each little mission will have a congratulations at the bottom, and it will have a little message from Rumble. I'm not going to show that too quick. If you want to pause it and read it, feel free, go ahead, but I just wanted to show a glimpse of it so you know there's a little bit of flavor in here through the characters. Sometimes only Rumble will talk, sometimes all the characters will talk and have a dialogue, a short little tidbit, just to show off a little bit of personality and lead you into the next mission. Once you remove the tray that has all the rules and all the missions in it, you'll be greeted with a lot, and I mean kind of a lot of stuff underneath here. It's a lot to take in at first, but I'll just go ahead and introduce you to what is right here, and that is the command line, the mech command line. So we've got here Ziggs' command line, and you can see he's got a little symbol here telling you that's where you put your upgrade cards, which we'll get to in a minute. He's also got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different upgrade cards, and then also a danger area over here. This helps you organize your command line of cards when you draw them. It also has the overdrive at the bottom here. Before you execute your command line, you may repair 1 damage from your mech. So he's kind of good. He's able to remove damage, because when you get damaged in this game, a damage card gets placed over one of your existing mech line command lines, so it could screw up what you're potentially trying to do. It can also be beneficial, but most of the time, it's how you get a little bit of erratic movement on the field. And we'll get to movement on the field in just a second. So each character gets their own. There's Tristana's, there's Corky's, and there's Heimerdinger's, but that one's upside down, so we'll just flip that around real quick. Get that in there. There you go. Heimerdinger, Corky, Tristana. They all have the same, but they all have the same 6 slots, but they each have a different overdrive mechanic. That kind of gives them that, well, much-needed flavor and individuality between each character. So here's an example of the cards, the upgrade ability cards that you can get. This is Tristana's Kaboom, which is to activate, you need 3 victory points. Now to get victory points, you have to kill more minions, and that'll be apparent once we get over to the board. So they'll have different symbols, different effects, different area of effects. Some of them can only be used once, like this one indicates here, that's the scrapping. Once you use it, it's done effect. But some of them can be reused if you manage to meet certain requirements, or some of them are permanent. You never know. So you have to pick these wisely. Right, there's Tristana's Kaboom. She's got a rocket jump. She's got I got your 6, reset, explosive charge. So all of these abilities are themed around the theme of the game. So if you have a favorite character in the game, you're going to have a favorite kind of character in here as well. So there's special modifications, do a barrel roll. There's references too throughout this entire thing. Gunship, ace pilot, ground control. So those are just the, the flavor of the cards that you get for the characters. And, of course, there's a couple more minions down here in the bottom. I'll see if I can't get the camera to focus on them. There we go. Thanks, camera. So we got here just a couple extra little minions right next to the danger cards, which we'll get to in a moment. I want to show you all the deck of cards. Now, the deck of cards will have a bunch of these different colored cards, as I showed you earlier in the book. But this is a blue card called Scythe. And what it does is it allows your character to turn 90 degrees, or if you have multiple blue cards stacked under this, you can turn any direction, and then 3 targets within 1 range, so your immediate area around your mech, you can kill 3 different minions around. So they're very similar and easy to have. Not similar and easy, they're very stackable and helpful to have. Why did I say similar and easy? I will never know. So I just wanted to show off a couple of the other cards as well. Here's one of your yellow cards, which has, this is another turn card, so you can see it's got the turn symbol, and it will do its different effects as well. We also have another yellow card, which is an attack card, Chain Lightning. Chain Lightning is a very good card. If you stack it up, it starts chaining more and more. There's another Scythe card. A lot of these, after you play a match, will get into, like, a lot of clumped colors, so you're going to want to shuffle these amazingly well, because when you get the command, set down the command line with, like, 3 green cards underneath each other, they might not get shuffled well, so you might get 3 green cards all in a row. So we've got Hexmatic Aimbot, which is another attack card. We've got a Fuel Tank, which is a red turning card. Hexmatic Aimbot, Fuel Tank. So somebody was doing Fuel Tanks and Hexmatic Aimbots the last time we were playing. So here's a movement card. Speed. It will allow you to move your mech in a certain direction. This one is straightforward, 1 to 2 spaces, or 2 to 4 spaces, or 3 to 6 spaces. Now, if you have this leveled up all the way, you can't move less than 3 spaces. You can move up to 6, but no less than 3. There's another Chain Lightning. Here we go. Here's another Blaze card. So this is a movement and an attack card. Now, if you move over a minion while it's on the board, you'll stomp it and crush it. So it's got some cool mechanics where if you occupy the same space as a minion, you win. Because you're in a mech. Obviously, mechs versus minions, mechs will win every time. But this one will shoot flames out the side of it once it reaches its destination. Well, I got another Blaze there. Someone was playing Blaze. Straight up. So we've got a Flame Spitter. Flame Spitter is very unique because it's like an AoE, or not an AoE, but a cone in front of your character that gets stronger and goes farther the more you stack it. So that's just a bit of the cards and a little bit of the art that I just want to show you here. Now, Skewer is one of the other fun cards, because Skewer allows you to impale a minion and use it as a shield to prevent damage from coming in, which is a wonderful card, and a lot of my friends like to use it for that exact factor. It's a wonderful little game that has a lot of little flavor in its mechanics. Now, I've pulled up a command line here just to kind of give you an idea of how it's going to lay out when you place your cards on it. So, say we have Omni Stomp, and we want to place that in number 1. But then we have a Fuel Tank, so we'll place that in number 2. But we also have a speed card. Now here's where it gets tricky, because you can place a speed card, any card you want, in any slot you want at any time. So now I have 1, 2, then nothing for 3 and 4, but then I have a 5. Your mech will always execute whatever command line it has, and if it doesn't have anything between two things, you just ignore it and keep moving. So it's kind of like blank slates. It's just a pass. So you'll do 1, 2, pass, pass, 5, pass. So you don't have to always put it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I know some people like to build their rotation, if you would, around doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, then 6, but it's sometimes better to start stacking cards of similar value on top of each other, because they'll get more powerful. Now, you don't have to stack the same card over the other card. You could stack 2 fuel tanks and then play a flame spitter, and now your flame spitter's level 3, because it only matters about the color of the card being stacked, not the actual card itself. Another amazing thing about this box that I'd like to point out is if you look right here, you can see that this has like a gear card on the back, and I'm going to pull out one of the other cards again, because you can see that gear pattern right there. But then when you pick up one of the cards, the back of the card also has that same gear pattern. So it allows you to be able to know where the cards go back in the deck without having to guess every time you put the game back. It's a wonderful little touch. And we were talking about these earlier, but these are your damage cards. Now, damage cards are terrible cards that will affect your gameplay and make your mech do things you don't necessarily want. So this one is called a glitch. You immediately discard it, but you reorder your command line, swap slots 1 and 2. So if you didn't want slot 1 where slot 2 is, this card's going to jank your command line up real bad. So let's take a look at one more card just for posterity, just to see. So this card, here's a symbol we haven't seen yet. This is a save card. So that means it will go on your command line and always keep messing you up until you're able to heal. So this will make you rotate 90 degrees left, always. You cannot circumvent this unless you heal it away. So unless you repair your mech, you will always have to do this on whatever slot this is on. You can't reprogram over the slot either. You have to repair it. So that's why these damage cards can really get you, because if you're expecting to do an attack and then you get damaged and this goes over one of your command lines, it's just it's going to mess you up. It's going to make the missions a lot harder. So you have to manage your damage along with your command lines. So just for a bit of an example here, say I had, this is my command line, speed, flame spitter, memory core. Now, if I had rolled that stuck controls as I did before, and say I rolled a 5. If I rolled a 5, it would go over the slot number 5. You'd use a d6 for this, obviously, because there's only 6 slots. You don't use the rune die for your damage. That would be silly, because you don't have any runes on your mech. But if you rolled, say, a 3, you'd have to put it over your 3 slot, and now instead of flame spitter, you'd now do speed, rotate, and then memory core for another rotation. Now, memory core is a card we didn't get to talk about, but it allows you to draw more cards during the draft, because the way you get more cards in this game is by during a per-turn draft. So each character can have different cards to help build up different strategies to help acquire more cards per turn. Because if you have any excess cards during a draft, say if you have 4 people playing, you only draw 5 cards at the beginning of a turn. So if a player draws 5 cards, everyone gets 1 and then the last one is scrapped. But if you draw 8 cards, everybody then gets 2 cards per round, making it a very, very valuable way to gain strength in this game very quickly. Fans of the League of Legends game might know this as Zonia's Hourglass, but since it's only a minute glass, it's called Zonia's Minute Glass, and it's usually used to mark the first person who plays in a turn. Now, we don't actually use the minute glass, because this kind of adds a little bit of extra difficulty to the game, because you're only allowed to draft for a certain amount of seconds. Basically, once this timer runs out, your draft immediately ends. So, me and my friends don't play that, because we like to be able to think about our turns, but if you ever wanted to kick up the difficulty just a bit, you can add back in the Zonia's Minute Glass effect, and that will definitely kick the difficulty up just a bit. Some of the missions we've played so far, though, have been absolutely horrid, and I think we've been stuck on Operation Magical Banana for a while. There's also this deep-sea mine-looking thing, which is the bomb. Now, the bomb will come into play on certain missions. Sometimes you have to push it or tow it by moving your mech into it, or by using movement slots to pull it along with you. Or sometimes you have to stop it from reaching a certain area or you lose. So this bomb is definitely a major factor in some of the missions, not all of them, but it's nice and fun to have on the field every now and then. It does have its own HP pool, so in some missions it could be impervious, in others, if it gets hit twice or even once, game over. So it adds definitely a different flavor to the way the game plays for each different mission. And here we go, we've got the minion kills board, as well as the doom tracker and a bunch of other things. So you have your team gears here, which you saw on the upgrade cards. We needed 3 gears in order to activate Tristana's special. Well, you track these by killing minions. When you kill 5 minions, you gain a gear, and the gear will go here, and the tracker resets. So you have to get as many kills as you can to get your characters built up and get their abilities activated before things start to get too hairy. There's also 15, so if you're just stuck and your characters are just killing minions and killing minions and killing minions, because the minions never stop, they will always keep respawning, which is why there's 100 of them in the game. If you manage to get up to 15 team gears, what will happen is you'll activate your overdrive ability, which was on your character's command line, and then you'll be able to do that every turn. We also have here the Doom Tracker, which is, well, it'll track your Doom. If this thing counts up too high or counts down too low, it's game over. Generally, everything that has a Doom Tracker usually means it's over when it gets to 0. It also has your rune gates here down at the bottom, so you put those tokens I showed you in the beginning of the video on top of these so you can keep track of which rune gates are open or closed. We also have these boards. Now, there are 5 of these boards that have 2 sides. You can see some of them have rune gates, repair pads, or this oil here that will make your minions or your mechs slide across it until it reaches the other side, only counting for 1 movement. So minions can really get up in on you if they start moving over oil, and it can kind of make the best laid plans of mice and men a little bit moot if your mech hits them as well. So we've got 4 or 5 of these different ones here that have all different shapes, all different sizes. Well, actually, they're not all different sizes, but they have all different shapes and sizes of terrain on them. This one has a little bit of an oil. This one has no oil on it whatsoever. And then once you've gone through all of those, you flip them over, and you now have the dangerous mission boards. So that you can see those lasers are the rune gates, and in order to deactivate rune gates, you have to step on the rune pads. These big rocks over here to the left and right, they are intraversable. You cannot go through them. Attacks cannot go through them. They are stuck. There's also spikes here on the wall. Spikes also hurt you if you move into them. If you move on the squares alongside them, you don't get hurt, but if you were to move into them, you get hurt. If you move into the lava, you get hurt and you stop your movement. So if you have a speed and you have a 6 speed and you try and go through, you're going to stop right here and get burnt. And then when you move to the next one, same thing. You'll get burnt again, get hurt, and stop there. So these dangerous tiles, well, they're dangerous. They live up to their name. So here we go. This one's absolutely riddled with spikes and lava and another rune gate. And this one has 4 rune gates on it, so it's definitely an area you want to make sure that you're coordinated with your team in order to deactivate. And I mean, hey, you were probably thinking, this game can't get any more dangerous and or have anything more involved with runes. Well, here's your rune compass. Your rune compass, the red always points north in the map. It will basically dictate which direction something happens based on which rune you roll. So if the red will always be north, the yellow will always be south, west will always be blue, east will always be green. Right? Pretty standard stuff. So you roll that rune die I showed you in the beginning of the video, and bam, something happens in that direction or from that direction, depending on each individual mission's rules. Then there's also, in the bottom of the box here, the school. So the school will actually come into play every now and then. This is the building, this is the school that you and your mechs are working out of to try and save. But it's not just a school, because they like to double-side pretty much everything in this game. And on the back, you have what's known as the lava wall. The danger phase, the lava wall flows 1 space towards the opposite end of the game board. So if this is ever in play, and it's going across the map, you don't want to touch this. If you touch this, it's pretty much game over. So there is an added element of danger in this game, depending on the level of the mission. Now, you might have been wondering, what's inside of this big box here that's been at the bottom the entire time? Now, you're not allowed to open this box, but whatever's inside has been trying to get out. In the rules, it clearly states you do not touch this box until it tells you. So, when the game tells you to open this box, you'll open it to find It has a giant minion in it, or at least I should say a giant mech with a minion piloting it and its own deck of cards. Now this is Rumble's mech, but it's been retooled for this game specifically through the use of this minion. So hold on, I'll get a nice shot and showcase this minion off for you. I mean, look at the detail on this minion. It's another one of those fully painted figures, as you can see with the player characters. So they wanted a lot of attention to be brought to this big guy. I mean, he is the boss, after all. So we'll see if we can't get his axe in there. Look at all the little chips and notches in that axe. Wonderful, wonderful little painted figure here. Amazing. It's got the glossy on it. Shines wonderfully. Even his feet are pretty cool. It's got like little cuffs, the covers over the little mechanical hinges to keep them safe. And it's got the gun at the front, the flamethrower, I should say, actually, because it's Rumble's flamethrower. A little bit of a rocket missile pack up on the top here with the targeting sights. Just a wonderful little bit. And the next question you also probably had when I opened that box was, but what about those cards? Well, you see, the boss is also a mech. So just like all the other mechs, the boss gets his own cards. Now, this one is you roll a rune die to select a player. So whichever direction the rune compass is pointing to whichever player, you should probably sit on the four-sided table for this game. It usually works it a bit better. But generally assign a color to a person, and when you roll that, he will move that mech belonging to that player to the nearest adjacent space to the boss. So basically he scorpions you, or in this case blitzcranks you right into the danger. And that's a really bad place to be, because this guy has got some seriously mad crazy attacks. He's also got weird effects as well, like Mech Magnet, which is you roll the rune die and then damage all mechs unless they move one space in that direction. So unless you want to get damaged, you have to move. So if your command line is going to get like inoperable at a certain point, you don't want to be taking this risk. And he doesn't just have green cards. He also has yellow cards, red cards, and blue cards as well. And if at any point any of his abilities gets upgraded to 3 ranks like our mechs can do, he instantly GG's us. I think his attack is called the GG 101 cannon. So it's a game-ending cannon attack that will end it if you let him get to 3 stacks on anything. Now, you draft this boss like you would draft anybody else's mech, but your team gets to decide which upgrade he takes. So he's not always just going to get 3 random colors in a row and be like, haha, look, 3 turns, I've got 3 greens, I win. So there is an element of strategy to the boss while the players have control agency over that. It's not just a random encounter every time he shows up. And the third and final question you most likely have about the boss is, well, if the boss has cards, where is his command line? Well, underneath this tray hides a special secret. This is a wonderfully hidden little secret at the bottom of the box, and until the game tells you, you probably won't know it's there if the box has been assembled properly. So, I'm going to take a little bit of a second, readjust, and slide this bad boy out for you to see. Here we go. So he's got a red command line, a green command line, a blue command line, and a yellow command line. And he powers up. So you draft 2 cards from the boss deck, pick 1 card, and slot it in. So every time he goes through his command line, you have to power him up. He's a very powerful character. And in the top left, you can even see Rumble's portrait up there being covered by a tiny little minion with a little crown, making him king. It's a wonderful little addition that they added in. And there's even a little bit of a post-it note on here, as if the minion didn't know how to operate it, and he needed notes to remind him of how it works. Because you know Rumble would know how his mech works. It's a wonderful little addition to the game. And I just flipped it over quick to see if it had a back. It does not. I haven't looked at the back before. I'm usually too concerned with what's on the front. But it even says here in the bottom left, I'll see if I can't zoom in for you. If any boss command slot reaches 3 power, the boss will fire its GG 101 Doom Cannon, and it's game over. So that's the cannon I was referencing earlier. A bunch of little fun. You know, it's amazing flavor in this game, and it's a wonderful little thing to have in a collection. And you might be wondering about the little, tiny little plastic bags here in the bottom left. Those are just the cards that come with the missions, and I just keep them in the bottom of the box so that way they don't get wrecked or damaged or lost. That's it. So I'm actually going to do a cool little time lapse of me putting everything back in the box so you can see how it all comes back together once out of the box. And that's everything back in the box. So that's been Mechs vs. Minions for this week's What's This in the Box? Something pretty experimental. I've never done this before. I'm kind of using a really wonky setup. I've got terrible lighting, unfortunately. I'm sorry. I'm trying to make do with what I have. Thank you for your patience with that, by the way. And if you'd love to see me do more of these kind of, like, not necessarily reviews of board games, but just showcasing what's in the box and telling you a little bit about them, let me know. Or if you'd actually like me to do more of a review-style board game-ish type episode, maybe not a review, but more of like a synopsis of how to play, etc., let me know, because I'm really interested in doing more board game stuff, especially for all the Kickstarter things I have. Let me know, because I am so into showing off what I have from Kickstarter, from my collector's editions, all this wonderful, wacky things I have stashed on my shelf that I've just been meaning to share with everyone for the longest time. So thank you all for joining me on this brand new episode, something very experimental. I know a few of you are telling me to experiment with some new things, and don't worry, I've got stuff planned for a long time to come. So thank you once again, and I will see you all on the next episode of What's This? And it could be a What's This in the Box if you guys let me know. I'll give you a little hint. I've got a Kickstarter game right to the right here, just off camera, that if you'd like to see, let me know. Share this video, like this video, do all that stuff so I know to continue this series. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Take care, everybody.